Hi everyone, it's Kim with KTB Creates. Thank you for joining me again today. Today we're going to do some fun DIYs using recyclable products that you have laying around your house, and we're going to turn them into some really cute items. So stick around. And if you haven't already, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and follow me on social media. I love to see the things that you recreate from my DIYs. So let's get started with our first DIY. We are going to use one of these 32-ounce Coffee Mate creamer containers. I absolutely love this. I use French vanilla and it is delicious. So we're just going to take it apart, rip off the label, and then using a razor blade, you're going to carefully cut off the top rim of it. So all we're going to do with this is make it into a cute little vase to use for flowers and just to decorate. So I am just going in with my chalk paint in white, in linen white, and I'm going to paint all over that, making sure I'm getting in all the grooves as well as the bottom. And I did have to do 3 layers of the chalk paint. So next I took 2 of these little ribbons that I had laying around. Any kind of ribbon would do. I got them at AC Moore when they were going out of business. So I'm going to use that along with the twine that I got from the Dollar Tree because it fits perfectly in those little ridges on the bottle. And all I'm doing is really just hot gluing them. So you just have to decide what the back part of the bottle is going to be, because that's going to be where your somewhat messy part will be. And I am just hot gluing it once in the back. Now you don't want to put a ton of hot glue on because it is plastic, obviously, and you could melt right through it. So just be careful when you're doing that. So that's all I'm doing here is just putting the twine in all those little ridges around the bottle. Next, I'm going to cut the ribbon in strips to fit around the bottle. And again, I am just going to take my hot glue gun and I am just hot gluing it right on the back. You might want to put like a little dot of hot glue, around the front or maybe every 2 inches or so. I didn't do that, and the ribbon does move around a little bit. So if that's going to bother you, definitely put a little dot around every so often. And then next I made this little saying with my Silhouette Cameo and some vinyl. So it just says, flowers bring joy, and I will let you know what font I used in the description box below. And then I am dressing up the top of it with just a little bit more ribbon and then some twine. And really, guys, it's all about what you want to make of this. I was just using items that I had around my house. So you can decorate it however you see fit. It's really just for some inspiration, but it ends up being really cute and something that when you look at it, you would never know that it was a, Coffee Mate creamer container. So just an idea and something fun to do. To end with it, I just wanted to let you guys know this is what it looks like when it's finished, but I did take my Mod Podge and I did put it all over where the lettering is because that helps to seal it so that it wouldn't fall off. And this is how it came out. And I just, like I said, I love it. I think it's just something different and unique that you can use for some flowers just to give a splash of summer or springtime to your house. And you would never know that it was a creamer container. So let me know what you think. I always love to hear your thoughts. But stick around because this next one is my favorite DIY, and I'm excited to show you how it comes out. So for the next DIY, we're going to take a large container. This was just like a margarine container. So I'm going to paint it with my chalk paint. This is old chalk paint. It's Grotto from Folk Art. And I didn't even know I still had this. So I love the color. I love blues and greens. Again, you could do it any color that you want, but I am just simply taking it and painting the whole, all around the sides. And then I do go in and paint the bottom as well because that just bothers me. I was careful here not to get it around the top, but I then decided to do something different with it, so you don't necessarily have to do that. Unless you want to just let it go like this and not do the second part, that's fine too. But just so you know, I did have to use 3 coats of the chalk paint, and I did go ahead and paint the bottom of that as well. And that's what it looks like when it's all painted. So next, I took this was the leftover roll from an aluminum foil container. It's like the heavy duty, and it's a longer roll. Not that you need the long roll because you're only going to cut it. So right here, you'll see I'm just measuring. I don't want it to stick out of the container. I want it to be level with the top of the container. So that's how I measured it, and I just went in and cut it with my my razor blade. And I'm just trying to make it nice and even here. Then I went ahead and painted it, and you don't have to paint the whole outside of it because you're going to cover it. But I didn't like that you could see the cardboard on the inside. So I painted the top portion of it just so it's covered. And then I went in and painted the inside of the tube completely so that you couldn't see any of the cardboard. Now I'm going to take my E6000 and some hot glue, and I am going to glue that little tube to the edge of the container. Next, I took some drop cloth fabric that I had that was laying around. It was just some extra. And I am going to, because you're going to use this for plastic cups, I don't know, I just wanted I wanted something cleaner, I guess, inside of it. So you'll see here, I am just fitting it, dry fitting it for where the tube is going to be, because that tube is going to be for your little marker. And then I'm cutting the hole for the opening. And then I'm going to go back in and put the fabric back in. And I'm just going to gather it the way I like it. Evenly around like the top and everything. And then I'm going to go back in and I'm going to hot glue that. So when I'm doing the little circle, you'll see I fold in the edges of the fabric so you can't like see where I cut it. So it's not like a ragged edge. And I fold that all in, and then I just hot glue it around the tube. And then I did hot glue a little bit around the actual tube and attached the fabric to that as well. And then I go in and I just gather all of my fabric in a fashion that I like it. And then I am just simply hot gluing the fabric to the top rim of the container. Once that's all done, I took some twine and I carefully wrapped it around the top portion of the container. You know, you can't be too tough with it, obviously, because it is a plastic container and it will bend. So I just wrapped a few layers of that around, and I just tied it in a little bow right in the front. Just make sure you know what you want your front side to be. I wanted the little marker to be off on the side. So make sure you adjust, you know, your front accordingly. Then once you're all done with that, I went back in and I am just going to trim off all of the excess fabric. Now, again, you can do this differently. If you wanted to make it look more of a finished look, you could have folded the fabric under and like hot glued the fabric so it wasn't like ragged edges. I like the Farmhouse cute look like that, so I just did it that way. And then I just used some vinyl from my cutting machine to make this cute little saying, and it says, "Mark your cup and drink up." With my family, we are always having little parties and gatherings, and you know, we always have a Sharpie hanging around to put your name on your cup so that you don't forget who's who. So I just thought this was adorable and so fitting. So it's a cute little decorative piece. And you also want to end it with some Mod Podge on front so your lettering stays on. And this is how it came out. And again, like I said, it's so cute to just add on your counter space or, you know, whenever you're having guests over, you put your little red Solo cups or your plastic cups in there with your marker. And then that way everybody can mark their drink and nobody loses their cup. So let me know what you think about this. This was inspired by Pinterest. I did see something very similar, but it was all made with wood. And I wanted to recreate it with some recyclable items. So the next DIY, we are going to take some of these round doilies that you could get at the Dollar Tree. They come in 4 different sizes. So I ended up using the second to the largest size and then the small size. So I used 1 of each of them. Next, you're going to take your doilies and you're just going to measure how you want to lay it out on your bottle, because I'm not going to put the entire doily on the bottle. I'm going to cut off like the edge of it. So here I'm just deciding how big I want the doily to be on the bottle, and then I'm just creasing it where I want to cut it. Next, we're going to take some Mod Podge and we are going to Mod Podge the doilies in place where you want them. And you have to do this first. You put a layer of Mod Podge on the bottle, then you put the doily down, then you put Mod Podge over the doily very carefully. It's kind of hard to not see like a little lines and things like that in the doily. You can smooth it out as much as you can, but I'm okay with the imperfections of it. And then you are just gonna, I did then Mod Podge the rest of the bottle because it didn't look right with just the doily being Mod Podged. So because DIYs are ever evolving, I didn't really like the way the Mod Podge left that like cloudy look that it leaves. So what I decided to do was go in and I just took a little bit of chalk paint and I watered it down quite a bit. It's a pretty watery consistency. And then I just put a little bit on my brush at a time, and I'm just going to go in and I'm going to paint everything with that watery mixture. You could probably skip this part if you're okay with the way that cloudy look looks or the way that cloudy finish is, then you could just let this go. Or you could probably try and be really particular with putting the Mod Podge exactly where the doily is and leaving the rest of the glass go. But again, it's just all about inspiration here. And I just decided to go ahead and paint this with this really like watery mixture, kind of like a watercolor or staining the glass type of a look. And I love the way it turned out. Next, I decided to dress it up with some twine. So I am just taking my hot glue gun and I'm just applying as thin as a line as I could around the edge of the doily. And that's where I'm going to take my twine and just edge it. And then as I go, I decide to add more and more twine. So I did edge along the bottom of the bottle with twine as well. And then you'll see I go in and I also edge out the inner part of where the doily is as well. And then I do line the small doily and around the top where the top of the bottle starts to arch. So I do put some twine around there as well. And then the finishing touch for it is just taking some twine and winding it around tightly around the top of the bottle. And I only use my hot glue at the bottom portion of it and then right at the top just to glue it in place. And this is the final look of the wine bottle decoration here. And I just think it looks so unique and different. I love the texture that the twine added to it. And again, it's a really good piece just to stick some stems in, just to give your decor a little splash of color and interest. So definitely let me know what you think. And I do also have a whole look of everything all together. So you could take one last look at everything all together. But I am so excited with how all these came out. And I love using everyday items that you already have laying around your house and recreating them into something beautiful. So if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my new uploads. And I hope to see you all very soon. Have a great week.